So they will cast a 5-drop here. We will flash in Overcharged Amalgam, let that resolve, exploit one of our Wretched Throngs, go ahead and get the value of countering Heron, getting another Wretched Throng in hand. Oh, the value, folks. Hello, Daily Drafters. Today is Tuesday, February 1st, and thanks for joining me for today's Daily Draft. As we get into the content here, I'd like to give a special thank you to all those in the subscriber community for choosing to spend a part of your day here with me. And for those of you that are not subscribed yet, go ahead and click that red subscribe button attached or underneath this video. Remember, it's absolutely free, doesn't cost you a dime, and you will then have access to the most consistent, high-quality MTG Limited content on YouTube. This is also our final week of Crimson Vow drafts here on the channel. Friday will be our last draft, and then set review content for Neon Dynasty will begin on Saturday morning. So if you're not subscribed yet, you will absolutely want to be going into set review season. But let's get into this pack one, pick one here for our second to last Crimson Vow draft here. Decent pack. We've got Diagraph Scavenger, we've got Wolf Strike, we've got Whispering Wizard, Distracting Geist, and Dominating Vampire. I think I want to go ahead and take Dominating Vampire. You don't actually need a ton of vampires to make this card very good. So 3 mana, 3/3 that has upside to be able to steal something and then get a good attack in. Plus, Red-Black is a really, really good deck to get into. And I think it's better than taking something like Wolf Strike or even Whispering Wizard in pack one, pick one. And we can see where we can go from there. Alright, so now we've got Wolfkin Outcast, Sigarda's Imprisonment, Lantern Bearer, and Flame Blessed Bolt. I do think Flame Blessed Bolt is the best common in the set, and it goes well with Dominating Vampire in the fact that it is also red. So I think this is a pretty easy bolt here, and we'll see if we can try to pair it with black to get more vampires for the Dominating Vampire, but we'll have to see how that goes. Okay, so as far as pairing it with black, I don't really want to take any of these cards early, and this one isn't even a vampire. There is Wedding Invitation, but I feel like if we want a copy of that, we can get it later. There's some decent blue cards here. There's also Reckless Impulse, which I do like having a copy of. There's also Flourishing Hunter. I think I'm going to stay red and take Reckless Impulse. There's value to staying one color for as long as you can to stay open in case you see signals for other colors later. And I don't think any of these other cards are like, oh my gosh, we have to move into X color for this card. Flourishing Hunter's good, but it's not like, oh my gosh, we need to go red-green now. So I think we're just going to go ahead and stay red with the Reckless Impulse here. Now black is already drying up here on pick 4. And honestly, there's not a lot of great cards for really anyone. I guess Syncopate and Cobbled Lancer are both fine. Syncopate goes well in a blue-red shell. And even in blue-red, you can end up with a decent amount of vampires. There's also Lacerate Flesh, but that's not really a card I'm looking to include in my deck all that often. So I think I'm going to take Syncopate here and see if blue-red can kind of be open for us. We'll go from there. Alright, so now we've got Fleeting Spirit, which is a great white 2-drop. There's Heron of Hope, which is a good white card. Blood Fountain's good, Hookhand Mariner's good, and Siphon Essence is also good. So this is difficult here in the fact that these two cards make us branch into a third color. Blood Fountain also does that, so does Hookhand Mariner, but Siphon Essence kind of goes down the blue-red spells route. We don't have to be married to the Dominating Vampire either if we want to go blue-red, but at the end of the day, it is a 3 mana 3/3 with just slight upside. I think I'm willing to take Siphon Essence here over some of these other cards because we have a really good blue-red shell so far. Between Bolt, Impulse, Syncopate, and Siphon Essence, that's a really good blue-red control shell that I'm willing to kind of hedge my bets towards this draft. And then we see basically nothing for anyone. There's Dawnheart Geist. There's Weary Prisoner. Selhoffen Tumor. I mean, none of this is that great, to be honest. think it's between Selhoff and Tumor and Weary Prisoner, and honestly, I'd hope that neither of them makes our deck. So, guess we'll just take the Selhoff and Tumor and try to put in the sideboard and put no weight on that pick. Very late Traveling Minister. There's also a Wretched Throng and a Syncopate, Grisly Ritual, Flourishing Hunter. Some good cards late here. And I'm not exactly sure if we should take this Traveling Minister and move in. Would we miss a second Syncopate or a first Wretched Throng? I don't think we would. And this is late enough for this card to be a signal that white has the opportunity to be open. So we're going to take Traveling Minister here. And I think if we wanted a second Syncopate, we could find one at some point. So we're going to take this and see if white isn't open for us. Interesting. So now there's a Blood Fountain and a Hookhand Mariner. There's also a Wretched Throng. I don't think black is where we want to go. Even though we have Dominating Vampire, which is better in red-black, we haven't seen any playable black cards outside of the first pack when we saw Blood Fountain a little bit later. That was about the only one we saw. So it's between Wretched Throng and Hookhand Mariner. I think I'm going to take my first Throng because there's a bunch of other ones going around that were not taken. So here's the wheel. I think the best cards in this pack are Ancestor, Chill of the Grave, and Siphon Essence. I think we can take, it depends if we want to go blue-red Control or we can hedge our bets with Ancestor. I think I want to take Siphon Essence here because I think blue-red Control has the ability to be a pretty good deck with our shell right now. Here's a third one. We had a deck a while ago that had like 4 Flame Breathers and like 5 counter spells. And if you stick 1 or 2 Flame Breathers, have a decent amount of removal and a bunch of counters, they're basically locked out of the game, which is kind of a fun way to play. We'll take Chill of the Grave here to kind of go along with that plan. It at least locks something down for a turn, even if we don't get the discount. And it does cantrip. So we want to see if we can get these Wretched Throngs back. Don't know if they'll come back, but you never know. There's a chance. So right now, I think we're leaning red-blue. But we have outs to go into blue-white if we want to. Well, here's a flash overcharged Amalgam that we're absolutely going to be taking. And this is why we need more Wretched Throngs, because you can exploit the Wretched Throng to counter a spell as well. Voldaren Epicure wheeling would not be bad for us because that would add to our vampire count, and it's a good exploit target for the Amalgam. That's the one card we're going to hope wheels. Only problem is it's the only red card in this pack, so if anyone is trying to stay red, they're probably going to take it. But we're happy with an Amalgam here. And then we see a lot of good cards for us. So there's Thirst for Discovery, there's Cradle of Safety, there's Falconwrath Celebrants, and a Braid. So I think with this style of deck that I've already talked about, I think having removal is more important. I really do want a copy of Thirst, and I'd love for this to come back, although I doubt it will. But we do need a high density of removal spells to make this at all good. So we're going to take the Abrade here. Then we're going to see Epicure versus Ancestral Anger. So I think we're pretty locked into blue-red at this point. We just kind of hope we see some of the Flame Breathers and some Wandering Minds and some more creatures to kind of help us close out these games. Anger versus Epicure. I think I want my first copy of Epicure. It gives us a blood token. It adds to our Dominating Vampire count. If we are playing... The thing is, if we're blue-red spells, we have no incentive to be spells right now. Nothing pays us off for casting spells. So if this Anger wheels, that's great for us, but we don't really have, like I mentioned, a big incentive to like be high on spells at the moment. So Pyre's Bond could be decent top end in this style of deck. We could also get Spirit just to hold down the ground for us. There's a Binding Geist, which I don't think fits well in this deck. I think I'll just err on the side of taking the cheaper card, and I don't even know if we're going to play it, but we'll put it over here for now. Kessig Wolf Rider is a good card for us. You can do this at instant speed. We're going to be putting a lot of cards in our graveyard. through instant speed cards, and this one can kind of just pump out wolves for us. It's either that or Spirit or Betrayal here. Betrayal is good with dominating Vampire. Wait, no. I was thinking with the Sack Outlet. It's good with something like Overcharged Amalgam, or if we can get Stitched Assistant or something. But right now we don't have enough of that to really try to run this card. So let's take the Wolf Rider for sure and go from there. And wow. Yeah, we're going to take Rending Flame. So we see Rending Flame. There's a Harvester in this pack, which is kind of crazy. So red and black are flowing from this side. Not necessarily black, but specifically red-black. There's also another Epicure. I think these are the two cards I'd be willing to play here. But we're definitely going to take the Rending Flame removal spell. We got another Siphon Essence. We have a Fearful Villager, Combatant, and Spirit. I think we're just going to keep countering all of their spells. So we'll take a Siphon Essence there. There's a Knife and a Spawn and an Heirloom. We aren't super looking to splash right now, and we only have 5 creatures, so I don't know how good this Knife is. There is just a Spawn. I think I'm just going to take the Spawn as top end that we may or may not play. The Assistant did come back, which is good that we have 1 Epicure. If we could pick up more Epicures or Throngs, we can actually consider running this for value. So we'll take the Assistant there and see if we can pick up enough exploit fodder to really maximize running it. Here we've got Ridgewolf as a random 2-drop, Cradle of Safety. I guess we can take Cradle, but although right now we don't have a lot of things we want to be protecting, we can take Cradle there. Skywarp Scob. Again, I don't think it's a card we're going to want to be playing because we're not going to have enough creatures to exile from our yard. Doubt we're going to want Pyre Spawn. We did find a Bloody Betrayal. We'll keep it there just for now in case we find more exploit creatures. This combo is a good one. And then we see Olivia's Attendance. And yes, we found all 3 rares in our colors in pack 1, 2, and 3. Attendance, Overcharged Amalgam, and Dominating Vampire. Good thing is, this is another Vampire. I think that puts our count at 3. Yes, it does. So we will absolutely take Olivia's Attendance here as probably the replacement for Pyre Spawn. Alright, so now we've got a second Wretched Throng, I think is what we want here. Over not a lot. I mean, it's Scob, Flesh, and Wolf. I don't think we really want any of those. We could think about splashing Runo if we really wanted to, but I don't think that's worth it. So we're just going to take a second Wretched Throng and hope we can pick up 3. I think 3 is the magic number. Alright, so there's a Biolume Egg here. And we have Stitched Assistant and Overcharged Amalgam. So we have 2 ways. If we could pick up one more way to exploit, I think this is going to be a very good card. So I'm actually going to take it here because we're not passing up on much. We're passing up on maybe an Evolving Wilds. But I'm going to take the egg and see if we can find one more exploit creature. Holy good cards for our deck. I think we're just taking a Ruth here, right? It's either that, Lantern Bearer, Syncopate, and I would hope one of these would wheel, although I doubt Lantern Bearer would, but there's a chance Syncopate could come back to us. But we're definitely going to take a Ruth. Third Wretched Throng is great. That's exactly what we wanted. So we will go ahead and take that third Wretched Throng, and we're hoping to see at least one more Exploiter. We've only got a couple picks left to do it, though. So there's Wash Away, there's Ancestral Anger, but we only have 1 of these. And there's these 2 cards, which don't really matter. So I think we're going to take Wash Away. It's just another counter spell. It's basically 3 mana count. It's just counter a spell for 3 mana. Now we've got Syncopate, Chill of the Grave, and Monstrosity. I mean, we can just counter all of their spells. Why not? We're going to have 11 instants with this. So I think Syncopate's going to be better than Chill for us. Because it does... We have 4 Siphon Essences, but the Syncopates can hit non-creatures as well. The only problem is playing a Ruth with 7 counterspells is not great. Because if you exile counterspells, you can't play them. So a Ruth might not actually be very good in this deck. Which makes me kind of wish I might have taken the Lantern Bearer or something, now that I had considered that, because the Ruth, as long as she's on the battlefield, can just burn our counterspells into exile, and we can't even use them. So here's Honored Heirloom, Monstrosity, and Anger. I don't think we're playing any of these cards. Again, we're not looking to splash. So I'm just going to put this one into the sideboard here. Wretched Throng number 4 came back, which is great, but I don't think we're going to get that third exploit target that we wanted, which is awkward, but at the very least, Wretched Throngs can just threaten to trade with early drops. And there's the Syncopate did come back. So I don't think we can play a Ruth because of this. We have so many counterspells that I don't think a Ruth is going to be... It's going to be possibly an active liability to our deck. So... Okay, so let's break this down here. We like to keep as many instances as we can to really make sure that our counterspells go well. I'd like to just be countering everything. I don't think Bloody Betrayal is going to make it, and I don't think Pyre Spawn is going to make it. So then it's down to these last cards here, and I think all of these creatures are good. We have the Amalgam, we have the Assistant, and we have the Egg. That's our exploit package, along with all of this can be exploited as well. Need the Wolf Rider. Would like to keep all 3 of our vampires. Would not mind keeping 4 Throngs. So I think all of our creatures are staying. So which non-creature are we getting rid of? Probably just Chill of the Grave. We have Rending Flame, Abrade, and Bolt for things that hit the battlefield. We don't have a ton of card draw. And by a ton, I mean any card draw, except Reckless Impulse. But again, we're going to be holding up our mana quite a bit, because a lot of our creatures are cheap. We can play on like turn 4, we can play this, hold up Syncopate for 1. Turn 5, we can play any of these, hold up Siphon Essence, things like that. So I think this is a pretty sweet blue-red control deck with some top end here for ourselves. So we're going to see how this one runs back. I think we'll keep it like this to make sure we can cast our counterspells. As we get into the first match here, don't forget that here at Daily Draft, that we post each and every draft that we record, win or lose. It'd be great if every single draft was a trophy, wouldn't it, for all of us? But you know, we all make mistakes. We all have decks that underperform. So here at Daily Draft, we make sure that every single video gives you at least something you can learn from. Okay, awkward hand. Because Dominating Vampire needs double red. In attendance is a 6-drop with double red. We can at least counter something. And then get a blood token and pitch something. We are on the draw. The problem with this hand is we need to draw both red mana and action. And the general rule of thumb is if you have a hand that needs 2 things, like red mana plus action, it's a little bit difficult to keep that one. So I'm actually going to mulligan this hand, and I think this one's a lot better. So we'll keep that, put the mountain back, and have our Throng plus Amalgam combo going. Did not mean to play the blue there. We're going to get... So we have to do that quickly. Hopefully they didn't catch that we got priority, because that was an accident. Meant to play the red. So for anybody that plays Syncopate at all going forward, you always want to play the color that is not blue to start, because we get priority if they play that. So we'll do this, and I think we'll just drop our hand here. That way next turn we can hold up. We'll go ahead and attack as well. We can hold up counter spells, or if we draw a land, we can hold up Amalgam as well. Would have liked to counter that. Now we have all the counters, but we do need to deal with this. So we're just going to pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'd have to 3-for-1 ourselves to block this Socialite. But we would get double Wretched Throng back in our hand because we have 4 of them. Markov Purifier. We can Syncopate for 2. Which I think we're going to have to do. Because if we miss land drops and they keep drawing lands, the Syncopates are going to get worse. So we're going to make sure we can get value out of this when we can here. We might also just be able to take 5 this turn. Actually, it would be 7 because they don't have any more blood. This will also be able to eat the Courier Bat. So let's hope they play a pre-combat spell here. Okay. So I think we will triple block this Socialite now. So we'll block like this. Alright, we'll pass to damage. That worked out. We will reveal. And then we can counter their post-combat and that they don't actually play anything. Okay. Well, we're just going to pass it back, I think. At some point, we're going to have to get no value out of this and just flash it in to eat their bat. But I'd really like to be able to get value out of exploiting the Throng here to counter a spell from them. So let's take 2 again. Vampire's Kiss. Well, it's something. There's a chance that they know we have counterspells, so if we just don't do anything, we're going to take 2 down to 4, take 2 down to 2, so we can't do that. So we're going to go ahead and play the Amalgam here. And then they're going to kill it. Okay. Alright, so now we have to find a way to deal with this Courier Bat. We do not want to sacrifice because the Amalgam will no longer be on the battlefield to see it. So we will not be able to counter the Vampire's Kiss. So now we're on a 2-turn clock here. So we'll play Wretched Throng and then see if we can't survive. So we can Syncopate for 3. And now we have to draw removal for this bat immediately. Or just die now to Vampire's Kiss. Double Vampire's Kiss. You know, it happens. Got a little greedy with that Amalgam. Okay, we're on the draw here with the fine enough of a hand. We will lead on Mountain this time to avoid the mistake that I played last game. We'll go Throng. And we will hope that we hit a land. Not quite a land. So we can go Reckless Impulse into hopefully finding a land. Or we can go Throng and then double block, get another one. But we need to try to hit our lands right now. Okay. We at least hit the land. We did lose a Syncopate, which is the same kind of issue that I mentioned with the Ruth, with Reckless Impulse. But with only one iteration of Reckless Impulse, I still think the Impulse is fine to run in this deck. Okay. Found the mountain here, so we can go Assistant, Sacrifice, which I think we're going to have to do. We will search for another one, and I think a land is actually good for us. We will lose the Syncopate, and we can hopefully trade with the Stalker here, if they let us. Okay, so this means they have some sort of combat trick, so we're probably going to get owned here, but let's hope this at least works to trade. It does, great, okay. Now what's their follow-up? This is basically their last chance to stick a card here, and it's a flyer, which is not good news for us. So we have Dominating Vampire, we can Syncopate for 1, we have Wretched Throng, can Syncopate for 2. The Vampire doesn't even steal anything. We can also just Siphon Essence if we play the Throng, so we'll play the Throng. And we will hope that we can draw some of our flying removal. Flyers are a way that we will lose these games here. Not quite what we're looking for. Play another Throng, and we're kind of on like a 3-turn clock here. In a race that we will not win. So we need to find removal pretty quickly. And we need to find like 2 removal spells pretty quickly, because even if we find 1, we're still not alive. So I think we have to Syncopate this one to get it to the graveyard. Or I mean to get it into exile. Not quite it. I guess we just go Vampire here. We could also do Siphon Essence plus a Blood Token activation. Yeah, Vampire's not the way just playing a Vampire is not going to win us this game. So we need to activate this Blood Token to try to find removal very quickly here, or else we're just going to die to a couple flyers. Okay, and looks like that will do it for round 2. Alright, here in round 3, this hand seems good enough to keep. Hopefully no flyers from our opponent. That is certainly what killed us the last 2 games between Courier Bat and then the Heron of Hope and stuff. Don't like to see Traveling Minister. Also messed up with the Syncopate once again. Playing a little loose here today. Sorry, folks. Okay. And then they will impulse into 2 lands. We'll do this and we'll get in there. Now we can counter their next 2 plays, hopefully. We will go ahead and do this while we can. And then Amalgam is a good draw for us here. Don't think we care about the Epicure. It's not worth countering. Okay. Don't think I want to play this Throng because then we can't also hold up Amalgam. We could hold up Throng plus Siphon Essence. But I want to get this Amalgam down. And honestly, this turn I'm probably willing to counter just about anything they play. Okay, they're not going to play into it. So now we can go Wretched Throng into Amalgam. This is still a race we win right now. And there's the target. Go ahead and counter the Geist and find another Throng here. We'll play 1. And then we will attack with both here. Put them to 10. Hopefully no Abrade for our Amalgam. Fine trading this time. And we'll get our last one. Don't want to see more flyers, especially ones that can get lifelink. And then here comes the Abrade. Yep. Well, of course they had it. We will go ahead and get rid of a mountain here. Find an assistant. And an Olivia's Attendant. So we have 7 mana. I think we could just play Attendants. Red-White is going to have a very difficult time dealing with that. So we're just going to play Attendants here. Even if they have Sigarda's Imprisonment, we can still activate this ability to get rid of their Minister and start pinging them. And Celebrants, okay. Alright, so let's play our land here. Now we have 8, so we can't quite activate this 3 times. We can do it twice. So we'll go ahead and attack with Attendants. They can't block. We're just going to do this now. Why is it activating with 3 blue? Let's do this and get rid of their minister. Then we can do Throng and Stitched Assistant here. I know if we sacrifice this Throng, we don't get anything from it. Actually, we don't even need to sacrifice it because they're pretty dead. Because we have enough blood tokens to survive any land drops that we need to play. Or that we would draw. Or extra lands that we would draw, so. They're digging for something here. And they didn't find it. Alright, on to 1 and 2. Let's try to rally this one here. Alright, we are on the play. We've got enough removal to kind of help us, removal and counter spells to help us get to where we need to go with this hand. We will need to draw some pieces and some lands here at some point. Okay, so we're going to miss this land drop, which is awkward. We can't even counter that, so sure. Now they know we have Syncopate. Playing against more Vampire's Kisses in this video than I think I have in the entirety of this draft format so far. So we're going to need a land here to have to not discard a card. Which is going to be awkward for us. And there, at least we can play the egg and then ideally scry into 2 lands. Or scry into a land at the very least. Getting rid of 2 more counter spells. Alright. They did resolve the Weary Prisoner. And here's the land. So now, problem is, they're going to flip this into a 6/6. And we can't deal with that. Yeah, we can't deal with it at all. So I think we're going to die to a Weary Prisoner. Because what are we going to do? Rending Flame plus Bolt, which we can't even do. We could play a 3/3 that doesn't do anything. So take your 6/6. I think we're going to have to Flame plus Bolt. This at some point. They don't even have to cast anything at this point. Now that they've stuck a 2-turn clock. Because if they cast something, then we can counter it and try to find our way out of this. So it's not the best thing to counter, and they could hold up Bleed Dry here for Overcharged Amalgam. But I really do not want them to land this and then not cast another spell, and then us get burned with everything in our hand. We could just play... We could bolt this at the end of the turn here. But then next turn we're taking another 6. Because they're not going to want to flip it. They're not going to want to cast another spell to flip this. The good thing is if we play Amalgam, try to counter this, and they cast another spell, this will flip at the very least. So I think we're going to try to do this. And hopefully they don't have removal for the Amalgam. Let's see if they kill it. Looks like they're thinking about it. all of the electricity. They might be questioning to themselves if this interaction works the way they want it to. If they kill this now, they may not know that interaction. So let's rely on their lack of knowledge of it. Okay, so they did it wrong here. So we can actually sacrifice this to counter the Recluse here. But I don't think we need to do that. Let's decline. Now they have a 2-1 and we're still missing land drops. At least this can attack now, so we can do this. Hold up either Syncopate or Bolt here. We can get in with the Amalgam. There's their 7th land and Courier Bat. Okay, we can't syncopate that. Pass to attackers. Probably will not want to trade here. And the question is, do we bolt a card now? Or do we try to draw another mountain so we can get rid of this thing? Because this is going to be our biggest problem. And I don't think we bolt something right now, because right now we have a blocker for this. So we won't, and we missed yet again. Ah, geez, this is difficult here. So if we pass it back, this will flip. But we can chump block it and get another Wretched Throng kind of in perpetuity here until we find another mountain. Because I think we need to save these two for this. Again, that's our only way for dealing with this right now, is using these 2 cards on it. Otherwise, we're going to have to chump a 6/6 for the rest of this game. So I know this goes tonight, but we need to save these 2 cards, and we can't counter anything on our turn. So go ahead. Okay. So we will chump here. We'll get another one. Now we can actually finish it off with Rending Flame, which will be very good. So now we don't actually have to save this bolt here. Hopefully this works. Awesome, so we got rid of that threat, which was the biggest deal on the board. And then we find our extra mountain. So now we can go Throng, holding up Essence and Bolt here. So let's play Throng. And then pass the turn. Okay. We can bolt this bat and then start to try to get in with the Amalgam here. They have removal for it. They have removal for it. But we do need to start attacking here at some point. So we can try to get rid of that. And then see if our Amalgam can start attacking or not. They very likely have removal for it, but we'll do what we got to do here. So there's the Bleed Dry. We can Syncopate for 2, which doesn't work. So that'll die and this will die. Livia's Attendance. So this does make us go down on mana for 1 turn, but I'd rather try to get this down. So let's see if they'll trade. Hopefully no other Bleed Dry. They did use their Bleed Dry on the Amalgam, which is good. So let's see if Attendance can stick. Okay, no Hero's Downfall. No more Bleed Dry, question mark? If we can untap with double Syncopate, I think we've got this game here. But that's a big if. That won't do it. And a Braid. Okay, that's good. Let's go to combat. We'll get in with Attendance. Okay, to damage. Now we have all of the blood tokens. Alright, so we'll pass the turn. We can abrade this. And then ping this down. We might just want to abrade this now, to be honest. Just make sure they don't have any funny business. Well, we can do it on there before combat. So let's end the turn and see what they want to do. They sure do have a lot of lands. We'll go to attackers. I don't know if we get a window between them sacrificing the blood and it getting +2/+2. So I actually want to just try to do this now just to be safe. Do they have Undying Malice maybe? At this point these syncopates really aren't doing much is the problem. Because they have 8 mana. Oh my gosh. So we can do it for X equals 3. They have exactly 3. What can they bring back? A Prisoner and a Bloodcrazed Socialite. At least we can ping each of them down. So that resolved. We're probably going to have to get rid of these syncopates with blood tokens because they're not really doing much. Okay, they get a blood token. Resolves. And I think I'm going to do this one first because it's going to turn into a 3/3. And I do want to get rid of one of these syncopates here. Another land. And another land. I'm going to play one of these just to make sure that we can kind of have enough to get through and use this as many times, and it looks like attendance will take us to victory here. Alright, 2-2 here, looking for that magical third victory. And we've got a pretty good opening hand. Looks like they have Flame Blessed Bolt. Do they want to use it on the Wolf Rider or not? We can play Throng here, but they're just going to bolt it. I'd rather than bolt this than the Wolf Rider, though. We'll see which one they want to bolt. They'll do it on the Wolf Rider. Okay. Makes sense. We'll go here. So we've got Syncopate into next turn Amalgam to counter 2 straight plays of theirs. No thank you. Into Overcharged Amalgam. Into Reckless Impulse, into something else. Nah, I'm fine without you doing that. We'll sacrifice this. We'll counter that, and we'll go get another one here. We've got another Syncopate, so I think we can just hold that up for x equals 2, play our Throng, and get in. No thank you. We will Impulse here into 2 more lands. Not great. So now they have a window to resolve something. Okay, don't really care about that one. Yet another land, so let's get in there again. Sure, we'll get our third Throng. And go ahead. So they will kill the Amalgam, and now we're kind of stuck here. Drawing yet another land. Go ahead. So we've got 10 lands now. So we've got 7 left in our last 21 cards here, and now we're kind of brick-walled. Well, okay. That's all we can do, so go ahead. We're going to have to counter a creature spell and then pitch a land from the blood token that we get. I think we just need to counter that. And Reckless Impulse, okay. Witch's Web and a land. Okay. We will get rid of this land. And find a Syncopate. And yet another land. Okay. Dominating Vampire. So it's a 3/3. So we can counter... Yeah, we can counter for 8. So we will do so. They're going to lose their Witch's Web. And we will draw... Oh, look! Another land. Weaver of Blossoms. We will probably have to Rending Flame that now. So we will do so it doesn't flip tonight. And then we'll pass. So we're looking for Dominating Vampire here. Not that. So it'll go to night. I know they draw a card. We don't have another Throng to get. They should have attacked with Sharpshooter as well, to be honest. But we're going to do this so that in case they top deck 2 lands here. Let's see what we have left. So we have 4 lands plus Bolt, another Counterspell, a Braid, Dominating Vampire, 3 more counters, Egg, Assistant, Attendance. So we have a lot of stuff left to get. We just need to get a little lucky to not draw so many lands. That is something. So we'll go ahead and play it here. We're going to keep these in case we find Olivia's Attendance. That's not quite Olivia's Attendance. Can't attack here. So we have 10, so we can go 6 plus an additional 3. So if we find Attendance, we can go 6 plus activate it once. We're just going to keep this. We have 3 lands in our last 13 cards, I guess. Biolume Egg will hopefully help us scry a couple lands to the bottom. At least that one. We can keep Epicure here because it does give us a blood token. So I think we'll just keep that. And then pass. Weaver of Blossoms on the night side. They will train that, which makes sense. We will bounce both of them, or at least attempt to. Here's our Epicure. We will then get rid of one of these islands. And find Attendance. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Then we can attack with Vampire and then shoot it down. Because they're forced to do that. Or we can just hold this back and use Attendance. We're basically trading this plus 3 mana for the werewolf here. And I think I'm willing to do that. So let's attack, they're going to block, and we will kill it. Get another blood, and it goes back to day. And then we have all the activations we need to kill them down from 3. Olivia's Attendance for the win. Okay, on the draw here, we'll keep it, although we have to hope they don't land something too good before we can counter them. Okay. They have one more window here to land a decent creature. And they didn't. Good. Okay. So now we kind of have some backup against some creatures. Found their extra land, Blood Petal Celebrant. I don't really want to counter that. But I think it's like their only play right now. We can counter like their next 3 plays effectively. Maybe even 4 if we draw blue. So we'll do this. You can hold up Essence or Rending Flame plus a Blood if we wanted to. Get rid of a Wretched Throng if we really need to. Diagraph Scavenger is something we'd like to essence so that it doesn't get the ETB here. Now, do we want to get rid of something? I think I'm fine getting rid of a Throng here. Finding a Braid and a Mountain. Okay. This can be activated, so I'm going to leave this up rather than get in for one. Can't counter anymore, but we have a couple removal spells here. If we find one more land, we can go in for Attendance. No plays, so let's do this. Okay, that's fine. We got our value. And my turn. There's the extra land. So let's attack first. And then I think we just drop Attendance and hope no bleed dry again. Can Attendance get us to a 4th victory? Oh man, the answer is no. They had the Hero's Downfall. Gluttonous Guest is a good blocker on this board. And then there's the Amalgam. So we can attack and then abrade it down. Just to make sure we can still keep getting in there with this Wolf. They may not even block. Okay. So we'll go to damage. Then we'll try to kill it here. And end the turn. We do still have something to sacrifice to Amalgam. I think that's something we're going to need to get rid of. So let's try to... They're still getting priority. It could just be the blood token. Hopefully no Abrade. Sacrifice this, and then counter their Headless Rider. So we cannot ride on the back of Attendance to victory this game. It's going to have to be done other ways. So let's attack with Amalgam. Then we could just play a 3-mana 3/3. It won't be stealing anything anytime soon. Okay, so this tells me they have either 2 lands in hand, but they pitched a non-land. So they have like 6-drop, 7-drop, which could be pretty scary for us. So let's get rid of this. See if we can find a Syncopate. Wash Away will do the trick. And I think we should be able to counter whatever 6-drop or 7-drop they have here. Or if they have 2 lands, then we've got enough. Grizzly Ritual, counter that, and then that'll be it for the win. There we go. Alright, so we are first. Obviously need a blue with this hand, but Reckless Impulse goes a long way in helping us find that at the very least. If we find a blue, then we're off to the races with scrying twice and doing Amalgam. So I think we're going to keep this. It's a very risky keep, I know, but I think it has a lot of outs to be a very, very good hand. And there is the blue. So we'll go Throng into Egg, scry another blue into Amalgam, and then hopefully get off to the races there. So they have Fierce Retribution or the, what's it called? Or the Piercing Light, one of the two. That's what that triggered gave them, because it was only an attacking creature. Oh, jeez. So obviously we want a blue, but both of these are kind of insane, and I think we need to keep them. So we can go Stitched Assistant, sacrifice this next turn, draw Rending Flame. I think we have to keep these on top. Kindly Ancestor, okay. So we will go Assistant, sacrifice the egg. We will keep that on top. Draw it, play our land, and no attacks. And then we get a 4/4. Hookhand Mariner. That's something we can easily Rending Flame here. I think I'm going to risk it by going Impulse into a land, playing Rending Flame. I know this could go wrong, but it didn't. So all is well in the world. So we'll get rid of that, and then we will attack here and here. And if they want to trade, I'm fine with that. So this is likely their last turn to resolve a creature. Let's hope it's not a good one. Yeah, it does stonewall our board at the very least. So we want to get value out of this Throng here. And I think we're going to keep Wolf Rider in hand so that we can leave up Siphon Essence. So we'll go ahead and pass. Okay. We can play Wolf Rider now. And this becomes an immediate answer threat, because we're going to start dumping cards into our graveyard and using this ability. So we're probably going to tap our Serpent here. End of turn. Or kill our Serpent. Suppose we can Amalgam that away. Let's do that. Exploiting a Wretched Throng. Countering that and getting another one. Wish we would have had the counterspell up for Brambleworm, because now that is a problem. And we have to remember it has reach, so we can't attack with Amalgam or anything. So I think I'm going to leave everything up and not play the Throng. We can leave up Wolf Rider activation plus Siphon Essence or Wash Away or whatever we need to do here. So we will pass it tonight. And this Brambleworm is going to be a big problem. We've already used our Rending Flame. Not exactly sure what we're going to have to deal with that. Okay, so we can counter this. Well, don't think we need to counter that. We can't exile it, because we can only do it for 5 and they can pay 5. We could just counter it, but then they get the backside. And I don't think it does a ton on this board right now. We will exile 3 cards from our graveyard here. And the attendance is probably our way to victory. And we're going to have to get it down on the battlefield here at some point. So again, here we go. Let's see if they can get us there. And then we'll pass and hope it survives. Hopefully no wolf strike. Okay, the fact that they're tapping this one is kind of scary. It also has trample. There is the Fierce Retribution. Dang it. That'll probably spell defeat for us if we can't get rid of this Bramble Worm. Okay, resolve. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, well we need to get rid of this Bramble Worm, or at least attempt to. So let's try to do this and hope they don't have removal here. Okay, awesome, we got rid of it. They still get to gain some life, but at least the big threat is off the board with all the counter spells we have in hand. We'll get our last one here, and then pass. See if they want to tap down our Amalgam or not. Tap down the Serpent, okay. We'll get in for 3. Play one of them. I think I just want to play... Well, we could play 2 to get around Distracting Geist attacking us. But then we still have Wash Away as a hard counter, or Siphon Essence as a hard counter. So either way. So we've got good protection here. Syncopate's going to be difficult to get value out of here at this point with them having 8 lands. By invitation only. No, we can't have that resolve. And Griff Rider. Okay, so they have a flyer now. A Braid. So we could try to get them by attacking with Serpent and then they double block and we abrade something. So let's get in. We could even abrade down the Beguiler if they want to just bounce it. Sure. That's what we'll do. Then end the turn here. Okay, so we can't counter that. Sure. So we'll block the Geist with the other Throng. The only thing is they can then put that on the back of the Griff Rider, but we can counter it when they do that, ideally. Especially if they choose to do it this turn. I think we've used all Throngs, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so no need to take action here. Okay. So if they play 5 mana, they have 8 right now. We can syncopate for 6. Yeah, we'll be able to counter this on the way back. So we can get in with everything. They're effectively at 22 right now because of Bramble Worm, but that's okay. I think I'm going to hold off on playing Epic here just to maximize the value of how much we can syncopate for. Because this 1/1 isn't going to be the deal breaker for our deck. Okay, so they're not going to go ahead and put Distracting Geists on the back of it here. And then they'll just pass. We can also just bolt it. Seems like a pretty good deal too. Let's do that. Goodbye. Now we can play Epicure. Do they have... If they had Fierce Retro... Okay, so they have Piercing Light. Alright. Yeah, sure. Don't care about that too much. We don't have another one to go get, so no action and damage. So we have protection against a creature, and we can syncopate for 4. Looks like we got there with that. Alright, we're on the draw here with a counterspell on turn 3, and then some late drop creatures. So we need lands to get to these, and we need creatures to make these good. This is a difficult... I don't think we can keep this. I think this is definitely better. So we will get rid of that. So now we have 1, 2, 3. I think that is definitely better than the first one. So that paid off. We'll go with Epicure here. They did not get priority, so they at least at that time did not have Flame Blessed Bolt in their hand. We'll go Wretched Throng. No attacks. Runebound Wolf, and then they'll trade with us. I don't think I want to play the Throng here, so we can leave up Counterspell or Rending Flame. No blocks. They don't have any instants. Taxidermist. I don't know if we care about that too much. I mean, eventually we probably will. We can just do that there, play this, and then again, no Throng, so we can leave this up. So they have 6 mana now. Let's see if they drop something big. They're going to attack with their Taxidermist, okay. And no plays. Then I guess we'll kill the Runebound Wolf. Or at least try to. They do now have an instant, when they didn't earlier. So now we can go Throng plus Hold Up Wash Away. And we won't be blocking with that, so we'll attack with it. Spore Crawler. Sure. Don't want you drawing any more cards. Want to use my mana here. Another Wretched Throng. So let's go to combat, and if they want to trade this for a combat trick, I'm okay with that. They don't. So we'll go Wretched Throng here, and then hold up Syncopate for 3. Now we're kind of at the mercy of the top of our deck. So that's good news that we can do that, but now we are out of gas. Oh no. No, my bad. I have made too many mistakes with Syncopate in this format. So they will resolve that, and we will dump our card in the graveyard and draw land here. Alright, see if we can come back from that mistake. There aren't very many mana dorks in this format. In fact, I think Taxidermist might be the only one. And then there's something we could have syncopated. So, yeah, we kind of threw this one away here. Gonna pass it over tonight, and then just lose, I think. So, my fault on throwing away this last game. Okay. They get to do all of that. We have to try to at least kill this packmate, although we're pretty sure they have a combat trick. So we'll do that, and then they'll play Massive Might on their packmate, which we can't counter. And we'll get brutally 3-for-1'd. Wolf Strike, same thing. Okay. Take action, draw our last one. Well, so close. We might have been able to have this one if we had countered that packmate. We could still have a few things left on the board, and I think we would have been able to do something there, but it says trample. Yeah, so we can at least flip it over today. So we'll do that. Well, this is a 4-4 now. This is a 2-5. They'll still have lethal here, so even if they attack with both. So yep, threw that one away. Sorry about that, but you know what? We rallied from 0-2 back to 5-2, which is pretty impressive with a deck like this. We were 1 win away from Diamond. We'll see if we can get there on Friday for Friday's draft. But don't forget to stick around at the end of this video to toggle through our Crimson Vow trophy playlist, if that is of interest to you, or to check out the last video in case you missed it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you on Friday for our very last Crimson Vow daily draft.